Hello, I'm Becky, and this is a short kind of mini restorative. So just a little moment in your day, maybe before bed, but any time of the day, to just really slow down and bring some nourishment and some calm to your nervous system. For this practice, you will need a yoga bolster, okay, or something that could be used instead. So we're going to start with our bolster in a supported inversion, Vipariti Karani. You could do this at the wall with your legs up the wall, but I'm going to do it in the middle of the wall, the room. So because we're going to go into the next posture straight from here, but if you go to the wall, you'll just come back and go into the next posture in your own time. So we've got the bolster kind of crossways right in the center of the mat. You need to have space behind you and in front of you. And then we're going to just scoot ourselves and place our sacrum, so right at the base of the spine, just above the buttocks, that fused bony plate on the center of the bolster, and lie ourselves back. So just feel that for yourself for a moment. You don't want it to be pressing into the spine too high up the back. Hands can be just down on the floor, and then we're just going to take one leg up, two legs up, and end up in this variation of Vipariti Karani. So if you're doing this at the wall, your bolster is against the wall and you're coming onto the bolster and swinging your legs up the wall. Your buttocks are touching the wall. Okay, but it's fine to do it free in the middle of the room. We're just going to take 5 to 10 slow, deep breaths here. Giving ourselves long enough to let the blood flow down the legs the opposite way from usual. Choose any arm position. You might want to take the arms overhead, out to the side, close to the sides. Just be intuitive with your arms, maybe onto the belly. Just do whatever you like there. And just, you might be doing this practice at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what time of day you do it, but it's really helping, especially at the end of the day, to just give the legs a rest. You've been walking around, gravity's been taking the blood down towards the feet all day. So we bring the blood now up towards the heart, the head, resting the legs. Just a few more slow, deep breaths here. Really just let your breath calm down, regulate, slow down. Be closing the eyes if that helps you relax. Now, if you're at the wall, just bend the knees into your chest and then roll to one side and just use your hands to make sure you control your descent, because you've got to come down off your bolster and then come to your mat. Those of us who are on the mat already, we're just going to simply bend the knees and bring the feet to the floor. So if you were at the wall, just bring yourself into this position that we're in now with the sacrum on the bolster, feet on the floor. You can stay here, or you can see what it's like to stretch the legs forward and maybe stretch the arms back and get into this full front body extension. And just let the legs do whatever they want to do. You might just want the toes to point up and be a little bit more active in the legs, or you might just want the legs to just totally relax, and they'll probably flop out to the sides a little bit. The only caveat with that is to just notice if that creates too much tension in your lower back. If letting the feet flop out to the sides compromises your lower back, just be a little bit more active with the legs, inwardly rotate them, bring the toes up to the ceiling, just to create more space in the back. So just feel that for yourself, but enjoy this stretch on the front of the thighs, the hips, the belly, the chest, and use your breath to just really open the front body here. Just a few more breaths. You don't need to take big dynamic breaths, just let the breath do what it wants. In this restorative practice, just be breath-led. Okay, and then at the end of your next exhale, if you've extended the legs, just bring the feet back in. Bring the hands forward if you took them behind you. We're just going to press through the feet, lift the hips, slide the bolster out from underneath, and gently wind the spine down to the floor, upper back to lower back. And then just roll to one side to press yourself up. We're going to come into a prone twist using our bolster. Okay, so we've got the bolster in front of us. Now it's lengthways in the center of the mat. We're going to bring our right outer hip to touch the end of the bolster or the right upper thigh. The legs can either be the knees stacked, or the way I like to do it is have my top knee slightly in front of the lower knee and rest my ankle, so my left ankle, on the little arch of the right foot. That's my preferred variation, but some people like to just stack the legs. Okay, so find what works for you. And then turn to face your bolster, one hand either side. And we want to try this. You might need to just shuffle around with where your hips are. We want to get the navel right in the center of the bolster and then walk the hands forward so that the spine is laying right in the center of the bolster. And then we just turn our head towards the same direction of the knees, hugging the bolster or just whatever feels comfortable for you with the hands. Relax the back, relax the shoulders. We're just going to stay here for maybe a minute, softening the belly, just really feeling supported by the bolster. Maybe closing the eyes. Okay, and then we're going to think about coming out and going to the other side. So when you're ready, just facing the bolster with the head, begin to walk the hands back in. And then we just kind of turn away from the bolster to come the other side. So now we've got the left hip on the outside of the bolster. I'm just going to move mine so that I can still face the camera, but you stay where you are. So again, left hip or thigh is touching the end of the bolster. We face the bolster, plant the hands either side, find the navel in the center of the bolster. You might need to shuffle the hips forwards or backwards and lay the front spine up the bolster and turn to face your knees. And again, your legs are stacked the same way as they were before, maybe one knee on top of the other, or like I'm doing, the top knees just a bit further forward, supporting the ankle area on the left foot. Doing whatever feels comfortable with your hands. I like to just gently hug the end of the bolster, but you might prefer to have the hands down. Just intuitively find a comfortable place for the hands. Relax the face. And really relax your whole body here, your belly, your face, your jaw, your back and your shoulders. And then thinking about coming out, so just turning to face the bolster, starting to walk the hands back in. We're going to keep the bolster more or less where it is, but make sure you've got space to drop your head behind it. You might also want to have a blanket or a piece of clothing or a block ready for your head. You may or may not need this. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do a chest opener. So we're actually going to sit on the bolster. If you have the luxury of 2 bolsters, you could have another one extended out from this one and actually use that to lay your legs on. But if you've just got one, you can just bend the legs or straighten the legs like this. But we're sat on the bolster, we lay the spine at the bolster, and we want the end of the bolster, so that kind of corner, top corner, to poke into the back, just nestling up underneath the lower edge of our shoulder blades. We want to feel like it's kind of pressing into the space beneath our shoulder blades and lifting the space behind the heart. So you may want to take your head onto a block, or it might feel okay to drop the head all the way down. If it feels okay to drop it all the way down, we get a deeper opening, but it might just feel too much for your neck, so then we elevate the head slightly. But for me, I like to drop my head all the way back to get the most of this spinal extension, but just feel that for yourself. Heart, palms face up, we're just letting the shoulders drop with gravity. If it doesn't feel comfortable, just try shuffling forwards or shuffling back a little bit until we find that sweet spot. It's quite an intense back bend in some ways. If it's not for you, just skip this, just lie on the floor, just take a moment until we complete this posture. But otherwise, we're just going to settle here for up to a minute. You can have the knees bent, like I'm showing here, or you could try straightening the legs and let them flop out to the side, just whatever feels best for you. And just allow ourselves to drop into this quite strong front opener, but in a very supported way. So really feel the feedback of the bolster beneath you. And feel this lovely opening of the rib cage, the intercostal muscles, the chest, fascia and skin, muscles. Again, let the breath guide you, lead you. Let the breath do what it wants to do naturally. Relax the jaw, the face. Okay, so we're going to think about coming out of this. And we're going to just gently roll to one side. So use your hands as a support to make sure that you don't kind of lose control. So just gently roll, slide off the bolster to one side, supporting with your hands. We're going to do a counter pose for that back bend, again with the bolster, so the bolster can stay pretty much where it was. We're going to come into a wide knee child's pose, so big toes touching, knees about mat distance apart, and bring the bolster between the thighs and lay the front spine up the bolster and turn your head to the side. Okay, I'm not coming all the way down because it creates distortion in the microphone, but you would come all the way down. Again, you could gently hug the bolster or just hands on the floor, whatever works for you. And really just let the breath slow down. This is our final posture before Shavasana. And we're probably just turning a cheek to one side. And then if you've got your cheek turned to one side, just turn to face the other side for the second half, for evenness. to think about coming out. So just turn to face the bolster again. Start to walk the hands back in. Move the bolster out the way. But there's an invitation to use it for Shavasana. So up to you. You can just take normal Shavasana, but if you want, you could take the bolster under the knees. Okay, just to support that lower back a little bit more. So we just drape the legs over the bolster. Turn the hands to face up, arms slightly away from the sides. And we're just going to stay here for a minute or so to integrate. Let go of all effort. Relax. Notice how you feel. And as always, if you have longer, please stay here longer in Shavasana. If you're closing with me, I'm just going to wriggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe reach the arms back, extend the legs. Maybe just bring the feet onto the bolster, roll it out the way a little bit, bring the knees into the chest. And then roll to one side, gently press yourself back up to seated. Thank you for sharing this practice with me. I hope you enjoyed, hope you feel restored, and hope to see you soon. Namaste.